Free agency rumors are heating up, pun intended, for the Calgary Flames, and there's no denying that they need some help at the center position. A recent article has come out and it has revealed some potential free agency targets for the Calgary Flames this offseason, if that is the direction that the organization does decide to go. They say they want to stay competitive, so maybe adding at center could be the recipe for a successful team next season, and we will potentially see a crazy reunion. We will get into all of that and more in this video, but first, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I am Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe, because only right around 27% of the people watching are subscribed. So if you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames, then make sure you join the Flames Digest community. We would love to welcome you to the family. We're all brothers and sisters around here. But without further ado, let's talk about these free agency rumors. We'll let the trade rumors sit for at least a day here, and let's talk about how the Flames could add a center. Now, a lot of people think, what's the point in adding a center when in free agency when we can just draft one at the draft and develop the youth? And that is very, very true, and a direction that I hope the Flames do take. However, they're still really thin at the center position, both in terms of the NHL level and at the AHL level in the prospect pool. It's not looking too great, and maybe adding a center isn't the worst thing in the world. But let's take a look at this article here. It is from Offside, written again by Colton Pankow. Big shout out to him for always providing great Flames content. All credit due to him for this article. And he came out with an article that says 5 middle six centers the Flames could target in free agency. Big spoiler there with the first one. I mean, he's in the thumbnail anyway. Doesn't really matter. But either way, this article says 5. One of them is Jack Roslovic, who we've already gone over in a previous video. If you want to see that one, it was, I believe, called Free Agency Rumors Escalating. It had Chandler Stevenson in the thumbnail. You can find that one. It was about a week ago in the channel. But either way, one big thing that this article does say here is one area the Flames are lacking in right now is center ice talent. Not only do they not have a ton of it in their current roster, but there isn't much there in terms of prospects either. So in a way, a lot of people will see this as, why add a center? Why try to be competitive? It's just because that is what the management and the organization have been saying. They want to be competitive next season. It's kind of just what they have to say, right? No team's going to outright say, we're going to suck next year, let's tank, kind of thing. Not that the Flames are going to tank, but either way, adding a middle six center won't make all the difference in the world, and it could provide some value for, kind of the future generation with some leadership, maybe some guidance, and maybe just showing how things shouldn't be done. But either way, let's get into the number one guy here, which is, of course, Monahan, our old boy Sean. He is still very beloved in this city. It was too bad the way he left town, in a very lopsided trade with the Montreal Canadiens. He's obviously since gone to Winnipeg and kind of revived his game. It's too bad with the injuries that he kind of went through in Calgary and just the falling out in terms of the belief in him, not only from management, but a lot of fans too. I kind of am guilty of that, I do gotta say. I love Sean Monahan, but I was ready for him to go, and boy, was I wrong. I'll admit it first here. But let's take a look at what Sean has to offer. So this past season, he played the most games in the NHL, playing 83 games. That's something that us Flames fans never thought possible. We thought if he passed 50 games, it would be crazy. But either way, a bit of a revival in his career here. He had 26 goals, 33 assists for 59 points. A really solid season overall. His Corsi for percentage being above 50 is very impressive. He's still under 30. We know what he has to offer. We know he's a great player, and it was great to see that he was able to really get his career going again. So is there the chance that we could see a Sean Monahan reunion in Calgary? It's been rumored before, last month, or it might even be over that. There was kind of rumblings of, a big on-ice reunion in the Flames organization, and a lot of people thought it would be Monahan. But let's see what the article has to say. The chances of the Flames bringing Sean Monahan are slim, though it has been discussed in recent months. After some injury troubles resulted in him being traded out of Calgary after the 2022 season, he has rebounded nicely and should have plenty of interest in free agency. Given that Monahan has yet to win a Stanley Cup, he may elect to sign with a contender. That said, he has strong ties to Calgary and would serve as a great mentor in the dressing room. At the very least, he's a player worth checking in on for Craigie boy Conroy. Yeah, it's interesting. It could definitely happen, and hopefully it wouldn't be too expensive. If I'm the Flames, I don't offer him much more than, actually, I shouldn't even say. For me personally, I'd love around $3 million or less. He might ask for more just knowing how good his career is, but it'd be interesting to see the term and whatever. We don't need to get into contract details. Either way, it would be very, very exciting if Sean Monahan were to become a Flame again, but I do understand if he wants to go to a contender. That being said, the Flames should at least pursue Monahan slightly, see where his head is at and kind of what he wants and what he desires in terms of both a contract and if he wants to play here sort of thing. And it could be a really good feel-good story, and he could provide so much guidance for this next kind of generation. I know the Flames would love to try out certain players at center like Connor Zary, Martin Pospisil, since he was doing it for Slovakia, there's a chance. But there's also a chance the Flames could bring in a center in free agency, and why not go after Monahan after everything we've known in the past? Now let's get into the next guy here, and oh, that's the wrong button. There it is, Sammy Steele. I didn't need to just go back and talk about Monahan again. Let's talk about Sam Steele. Now, he just got kicked out of the playoffs with the Dallas Stars, which was too bad, but he's a decent option here for a middle six center, still on the younger end of things. Let's see what he has to offer this season. Just the 24 points in 77 games, but obviously that is on a very deep Dallas Stars roster. He was kind of buried near the bottom of that roster in the lineup, but he still had a very, very good season overall. Not in terms of production, but just such a great role player. And there's the potential that the Flames could sign him. I'm trying to hype him up as though I want him. To be honest, if I'm the Flames, I don't go after this. I just don't see it as worth it. He's probably going to go for something with term, with where he is at in his age and his career. He'll want something with term. Don't think the Flames should go for it. But either way, let's see what the article has to say here. An inexpensive option they could consider is Sam Steele. The 26-year-old has a high skill set proven by his selection in the first round of the 2016 draft, but he has struggled to produce big numbers in the NHL throughout his 339-game career. I wouldn't have guessed he'd played that many. To Steele's credit, he has adapted his game well, as he was a solid fourth-line centerman for the Dallas Stars this past season. For the Flames, however, they would not only be able to sign him for cheap, but perhaps give him a bigger opportunity to see if he still has some untapped scoring potential. And the amount of times we have heard that about Flames or players potentially joining the Flames and being given another opportunity since they still have potential, it goes crazy. I'm victim number one of saying that. I say that all the time. With Sam Steele, he is good. I just don't see him fitting into the plans for the Flames' future. It could be worth going after him since he's so inexpensive, but honestly, I'm not loving this one here. So let's get into the next one, which is Jost. Tyson Jost. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't feel fantastic about this one either, to be honest. I know he was such a good prospect back in the day, and I really like the guy. He seems like such a great guy, and I hate to throw out this word, but he has been a bit of a bust. And Tyson, if you're watching, I'm so sorry for saying that. I really, really don't fully mean it, but just hasn't lived up to his potential, and things are looking a little bit more bleak. But let's get into his stats this past season. Just 6 points in 43 games, played half the year. And just really not great production, minus 11 on the season as well. A Corsi 4 percentage way under 50 is not impressive at all. And I don't know, I just can't believe this one was really mentioned at all. Why would the Flames want him? I don't understand this one fully. I get that there's the untapped potential or potential untapped potential. Just throw in potential as many times as you can in one sentence. Take a shot every time I say potential or center in this video. But either way, Tyson Jost, I'm not totally sold, but let's see what the article has to say anyway. Another relatively young option who could still have some potential, there you go, is Tyson Jost. The 26-year-old centerman entered the NHL with a ton of hype, having been selected 10th overall in 2016. To this point, however, things haven't panned out to the point that he even spent a portion of this season in the AHL. Don't do it. Don't do it, Calgary. Don't even offer it. I understand he could have a better role on this Flames team. Doesn't fit. Does not fit the future plans of this franchise. I love him, but not the time. Now let's get into the last one here and talk about Johnson. Now, which Johnson am I talking about? That's a very common name. The Johnson I'm referring to is Tyler Johnson. So let's get into his stats here. Yes, the former Stanley Cup champion with the Tampa Bay Lightning had, you know what, a decent season over in Chicago where he's playing now, of course. 17 goals and 14 assists in 67 games. Not too bad at all, 31 points, almost a point every other game. He was a startling minus 35 though, but that was on a Chicago team that pretty much lost every single game 5-2, both goals by Bedard. But either way, we know he's a reliable option. I just don't see him once again fitting in Calgary. I could see him going into a team that needs a role player that can score, kind of like how he was on Tampa Bay. Because he went to Chicago thinking he could be a little bit better of a player, have a bigger role. It's kind of worked out, but not necessarily. I would honestly be surprised if he doesn't just re-sign in Chicago. But either way, let's give the article a chance here. So if the Flames would prefer a veteran option instead, Tyler Johnson is an interesting name. The 33-year-old is no longer the player he once was, but he can still put up a solid secondary options, and at this point in his career would come cheap. Johnson's biggest value to the Flames is that he won back-to-back Stanley Cups with the Lightning in 2020 and 2021. Having a player like that around would be highly beneficial for the younger pieces on this current roster. So I don't disagree with that. I think there is a lot of value in bringing in Johnson. People always say it's so valuable to bring in former Stanley Cup champions, and he honestly would provide some good guidance. He's not the biggest guy. We know that. We have some prospects that aren't the biggest guys either, like Coronado, Peltier. You can even talk about guys who are in the lineup like Mangiapane. He can maybe show them how to play a little bit better. I don't hate this signing. Once again, I'd pursue it for the right price, of course. Does Johnson fully fit into the future plans of the Flames? He could. I don't know if he'd stay until the Flames are ready to be contenders, but either way, I like this one the second most after Monahan, but of course, I'm biased there. But let me know what you think about all of these free agency potential signings, potential targets the Flames could go after. Let me know down in the comments what you think. And speaking of that, let's get into the comment of the day. Now, this one was mostly just to boost my own ego. Needed a little bit of that lately. And it comes from a guy who I've never made comment of the day, but he's been around since almost day one. And it is our boy, Joe. Joe scores 19. Well, Joe, you really got me going on this one. He said, Mark, you are spoiling us Flames fans with these consistent uploads. You rock, bro. 20K subs by the end of the summer. Come on. Hell yeah. Let's get it going. Let's rack it up. We're more on the path for just 2K subscribers. Let's just go for that. But thank you so much for that comment. I love providing content for you guys. It's an absolute blast. I know sometimes things can get a little bit shaky in the comments down below, but either way, it is super fun. I love Flames fans. We have a great community here, and I just love you guys with all my heart. And Joe, an extra little bit of love to you there today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.